Growing up in Bauchi, northeast Nigeria, seeing children of primary school age grazing cows in the open fields is a common sight. Bearing in mind the relevance of getting education, I wondered why children at such young age are stuck in a routine of herding cattle when they should be in school. I didn't realize that cattle rearing is not only a cultural inheritance to the Fulani pastoralist, but also the only source of livelihood for many of them. With climate change posing a threat to pastoralism, security threats, and the transformation of human interaction by technology, the need for alternative sources of livelihood through education has never been more pressing. It's a 7:15 in the morning. Jibo Alhaji Manu is making sure his children have some breakfast before heading to school. While growing as a nomadic child, the idea of getting formal education for Jibo was detestable. But after graduating from Bayero University, he now sees the need for his children.
I interpreted my father like he don't like me, he don't love me. Why he selected only me? He sent me to school after he has a lot of cows in his life. I have something to do in his house, but he take me somewhere. 3 years we are dragging. I said I will not go back to Kano. I will not go back to school anymore. What I love is animal. To the extent that my father told me, if you will not go back to school, you must leave my house. I choose to leave his house permanently than to go back to the school. My father didn't change his mind because he's very strict. His A is A, his B is B, his black is black, up to now. So now, he said that since you finish your school and you don't want to go back to your school, it's simple. It's simple. What do you want me to give you for you to go back to school? I say you will give me cows. 1 head of your cows. He said, Wallahi, I promise you, if you finish your school, come back. Just select one of the heads that you want.
Jibo now sponsors the education of 3 of his biological children and 4 of his late brother's children in a school nearby.
I ever worked with this ANI, African Nature Investments, in Barua Gashaka Gumti National Park. I get a lot of money from them to prove my degree certificate and prove my experience as a nomad. I served there as a CLO, Community Liaison Officer of Fulani. I used to guide the Fulbe not to allow their animal to enter that bush, that forest. Because of what? Because this forest is a benefit to all of us. Cutting trees is not good, it's not proper. Thirdly, I used to work with, currently I used to serve as a state secretary for Fulbe Development and Cultural Organization, that is FUDECO. Fulbe Development and Cultural Organization. You can type this in your Facebook, you will see it, you will see our work. We have at least 12 chapters, that is 12 states in Nigeria where we are serving, where we are working. I used to earn a lot of things because we are doing research, different research, like for girl child education. I'm among the researchers on that. Social inclusion, you know, we used to do that. Women empowerment, I'm among the people that used to do that research. Yes.
In Nigeria, education is free and compulsory for all children of primary and junior secondary school age under the Universal Basic Education System. But this is hardly the reality of many, especially the nomadic children. The recent number of out-of-school children in Nigeria, released by the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization (UNESCO), is a subject of controversy. While the UN agency puts the estimate at 20 million, Universal Basic Education (UBE) says the number of out-of-school children is less than 10 million. To ensure access to education for the nomads, the Nigerian government established the National Commission for Nomadic Education in 1989. But after more than 3 decades of establishment, the impact of the commission remains abysmal for multiple reasons, one of which is the limitations of the establishing act. Associate Professor Ahmadu Shehu is among the first set of nomadic pupils that benefited from the nomadic education system. He observes that the legal framework of the Commission falls short of the expectations on the Commission.
The Nomadic Commission has no control over land. It is controlled by the state governments and the local governments. It doesn't control teachers. Teachers are basically employed and maintained and paid and everything by local government and state governments. It does not control infrastructure. So that is also through the state governments and local governments. Now you can say that the commission itself and the program is simply a coordinating unit. It doesn't have a lot of constitutional purview to be able to implement the major goals, ambitious goals of the program. If the idea was to be able to enforce education on a mobile community, you'd have to think of the huge resources required to first and foremost get access to these communities.
With only 6 zonal offices across the country and a head office in Kaduna, the implementation of nomadic education program is domiciled under the State Universal Basic Education in most states with no specific mandate.
What do you get from a school which only has one single teacher for 3-4 years? A teacher that comes once, twice, or 3 times a month simply because he lives in a city or somewhere many kilometers away from the Fulani homestead, even if you are able to get it, a semi-nomadic community like mine before now.
According to the website of the National Commission for Nomadic Education, as of 2020, there are 26,660 teachers catering for over 1.5 million pupils in 7,314 nomadic schools across the country. Adamawa State has over 600 teachers with 9,540 enrollees across 142 nomadic schools.
We are on our way to Hulere Nomadic School, where we are going to be meeting with some of the nomadic students in Hulere. Now, in between Hulere and Yola Town is this big river where we are now having to cross. The main road ends right there, and we now have to use the tricycle operators to get through to Hulere village. For some reason, they are able to maneuver their way, and for many of them, this is a daily experience. quite an experience, isn't it?
It took more than a 30 minutes of maneuvering ride in a tricycle we hired to get to Hulere due to the lack of access road, and that's how long the school teachers trek to get to the school.
And here we are.
When we arrived at Hulere Nomadic School, it was clear that the school had been deserted, evident by the overgrown dying grass in front of the block of classrooms. Malam Hayatu Abdul Kadir is one of the 6 teachers posted here by the Adamawa State Universal Basic Education Board to teach 246 students in the school. He has been teaching in the nomadic school for over 2 decades. Now he earns less than 45,000 naira a month.
In the nomadic school, we have to give them, they have to go to the school sangaya, they have to go to the look their kettles, they have to go to the look their the farmers, the goats, the etc. etc. But they are trying. Both the teachers and the student, they are trying to come into school. When you are teaching them, normally, if you teach the English, you have to interpret with the language they should go to understand. If you teach in English, when you teach them 1 or 2, you have to tell them to come down. You explain it to them with their local language, because if you explain it, they will go to have the idea, have the exposure to follow with the instructional materials.
It's the first week of December. Many schools are either preparing or have commenced examination for the end of term. In Hulere, the total number of pupils in school could barely fill up a classroom. Although the school is yet to officially close for the term, the pupils here determine when school opens or closes, unlike their counterparts in the conventional schools.
In the essential school, you can see some of the community, they benefit from the primary, from the post-primary, from the O-level, from the tertiary. They have benefit. They know the benefit of the school. They know the benefit of educating the people. So these people, you just leave them, they stay with their cattle, they stay with their animals. This is their way. But thanks God, they are coming, they bring the pupils in the school from P1 up to primary 6.
Even in the Sube, we used to tell the teachers, this school they are nomad. If they say they will come by 10 o'clock, we should accept it, they should come by 10. You know, for that's why they used to tell the teachers, you must wait for the nomad to come. Even by 11, just wait for them to come. If they came around 10, by 11 or 10:30, they say they are done for today. They want to go home. And teacher must leave them to go because they are nomads.
Imagine that kind of setting, and then you left the child after just 6 years. How much has he learned? Tell, like, how much has he covered in the curriculum? How many hours? If it's credit unit, how many credits has he earned? Can that actually pull his mental strength and psychological development to integrate? Is it enough to change his worldview?
This book has been the visitors register here for 2 decades. It was first used in 2003. From the records, there has been 9 visits to the school for supervision in the entire year. The ravaging insecurity has made it even harder for proper supervision of the nomadic schools, in addition to poor funding. Data by the United Nations Children's Fund in 2022 revealed that 11,536 schools were closed due to abductions and security issues.
For teachers to go to the school to teach is a problem. You need to have teachers that know how to speak Fulatanchi and who is nearer to the village. This one is another problem. For giving them special allowance for the teachers is another problem. And for the state to give us transport to supervise all the schools is another problem. The state should please put more attention on nomadic schools because they are also people like us. They need to treat them like other conventional school. They should treat them like other conventional school. Don't give them white special or what. They should give them anything that are given to conventional school. Like that training of the teachers, they don't give teachers, nomadic teachers. They only give conventional schools. Even when the nomadic education came, they only give them training. But in the state, they don't give them training for nomadic teachers.
It's a Thursday morning in Garandia, a Fulani hamlet in Yola South local government area of Adamawa State. Fatima Idris, one of the teachers of Garandia Nomadic School, is getting set to leave for school. Fatima is among 3 teachers who acquired their primary education in Garandia Nomadic School. They are now given back to the school after acquiring their Nigeria Certificate of Education (NCE).
Gaskiya ya canja rayuwana kam sosai. Don na yi bambanci da wanda ba su yi makaranta ba. Kuma ina karantar da yarana a gida. Ni ma ina kai su makaranta. Ina ga ma dan uwana mu kai yaran mu makaranta. Muna kaiwa kuma. Kaga mun samu sigaba nan. In ban yi makaranta ba ai ba za su yi ba ko. Rashin karatun nan yana zawo mana matsala sosai mu Fulani. Mu yi karatu kan duka biyu, makaranta da Qur'an. Kirana da iyaye don Allah su yi haƙuri, su bar yaranmu su yi karatu. Karatu baya hana aure. Don ni ma na yi karatu na yi aure. A daji kuma na yi aure ba a cikin gari ba. Ina zanne da mijina, bai yi makaranta ba amma zamanmu mai daɗi. Don ni na yi makaranta, na koya misi abun da zamanmu ba damuwa kamar yadda nake so a rayuwana.
To effectively teach the pupils here, ability to speak the local language fully and living among the people are key requirements. But when the recruitment of teachers is only within the purview of the State Universal Basic Education Board, that comes with a lot of challenges.
First and foremost, remove it from the shackles of the Universal Basic Education Commission. Give it the institutional purview to recruit teachers, because then it will recruit teachers who are able to live with these communities. Do you think that someone from Yola or Jada, anybody of a sedentary setting, would be able to move to Tongo on foot or to Yobe during rainy season on foot, just so that he can teach a child of someone who might in his mind be just even half human? much are you paying him? Do you have the incentives to get people to do that?
Today, there's a big feast in Hulere to celebrate the wedding of 3 young couples. In line with the tradition, the young couples are not to be seen during the ceremony until after 2 weeks. The wedding ceremony brings everyone together, men, women, and children. The average age of getting married for most young Fulanis is between 15 to 20 for both male and female, a practice that hinders many of the nomadic students from transiting to higher level of education. Of the more than 1.5 million enrollees in the nomadic school, only a little above 41,000 transited to higher institutions of learning.
But the nomadic education only looks at primary school. Primary school. We're not talking about transition. If you gave me primary education in Mamokan, my home state, now a big village, and left me there, could I be talking to you now? 110 of us were registered at the first instance. Only 6 of us transited to secondary school. And of the 6, only 4 transited to senior secondary school. Of the 4, only 2 earned degrees. Of the 2, only 1 earned a master's. And as far as I know, of the hundreds and thousands of children who are enrolled in nomadic education across Nigeria over the 3 decades of its existence, only I have a PhD. What does that tell you? It tells you that there are bottlenecks that were not considered. There is an issue of transition.
Well, we don't have the nomadic primary school, but they are going to the other secondary schools, catchment area. Normally in the town, when you go inside the town, any primary school that it is primary, and there is secondary school there, there is junior secondary school there, and the senior. Like if you go to Oromodibo, we have the secondary school there. If you go to Hambawa Tongo, we have secondary school there. If you go to Mustafa Primary School, there is junior and senior. If you go to Damare, they have junior and senior. So our catchment area is Bole Secondary School. Now they are not going to Bole. They are going to the Shagari Junior and Secondary School in the town. And some of them are going to the Aliyu Mustafa, Yelwa GSS now is Aliyu Mustafa College. They are going there.
Here with a group of young people here in Garandia, where we met with some of the nomadic students and had an interaction with them, including some of their teachers and parents as well. And some of the shocking revelations that we heard from them is quite astonishing. Yauba, for instance, said that he was forced to go back to rearing cattle because he couldn't proceed after graduating from the nomadic school here because he didn't have the money and there is no access for him to proceed to the higher level of education.
Eto, mi jangay mana amma na joni kam mi andi tawakkila ka jangugo makaranta kam sala ke mi biata. E lokaci ko fodi mi jangi ha mi hebi mi timmini kanko nden mi durata no de Allah wadi mi timmini do mi heba yago yeso bo sai mi nasti durungol tan.
The United Nations Sustainable Development Goals has a target to ensure that all girls and boys complete free, equitable and quality primary and secondary education by 2030. But without additional measures to meet this target, 84 million children will be out of school by 2030, with Nigeria leading other countries.
Should we be told that when you have millions and millions of people who are not integrated within the socio-economic system of a society, do we need to be told that you are breeding a time bomb there will be a time where those communities will resort to violence? Do we need to be told that the climate change that we are seeing is jam-packing national resource competition to a standstill? We'll get to a point where it won't be a herder versus a farmer. It will be a farmer versus a farmer, a herder versus a herder, and it will be me against you. Because human beings by nature depend on natural resources. And as the natural resources lean out, as our Chad Basin dries out, as drought overtake our Sahara part of the Sahel, as our population explodes and farms overtake, as our building cities take over farms, we'll be rushing to look for water. And that time our rivers will be drying and our animals will be dying and we'll be eating one another if we don't find alternatives.
While governments have a duty to ensure access to quality education for all, it will require a holistic approach and partnership with stakeholders to effectively implement policies for nomadic education.